The last time I saw him, I swore I would rather choke on glass than ever sit in the same room with him again. Funny how life has a twisted sense of humor. It didn't just put us in the same room. It shoved us into the same train cabin. 3 weeks long. Coast to coast. No escape. When I slid open the heavy wooden door of my assigned compartment, my breath caught like I'd been punched. There he was. Nathan. My Nathan. The boy who broke my heart so savagely 2 years ago that I had convinced myself he was nothing more than a ghost I could outrun. Yet now, the ghost was flesh and bone, leaning casually against the window, his eyes widening in mirrored shock. Ethan. His voice cracked slightly, my name falling from his lips like he couldn't believe it either. I laughed bitterly, tossing my bag onto the bunk. Of course, because why wouldn't Amtrak think it's funny to shove me into hell on wheels? The tension between us was palpable, heavier than the rattle of the train as it pulled out of the New York station. The walls seemed to close in, the small compartment too intimate for two people who once knew every curve of each other's bodies, every secret of each other's hearts. Nathan looked older, more worn, like life had carved into him a little since we last spoke. His jaw was sharper, his hair shorter, his eyes, God, those eyes still carried the same dangerous blue that had pulled me under once. I hated that my chest still ached just looking at him. I didn't know. Nathan started, his voice soft. I didn't know you'd be here. I snorted. Don't flatter yourself. The universe doesn't revolve around you. But the truth was, felt like it had. Once upon a time. The train swayed gently, and the silence grew unbearable. Memories clawed at me. That night in Chicago when he kissed me in the pouring rain, whispering promises he didn't keep. The day he walked away without explanation, leaving me hollow, furious, shattered. I had spent 2 years rebuilding myself, brick by jagged brick, convincing myself I was better without him. So why did the sight of him sitting 3 feet away make my heart betray me all over again? We sat in silence for what felt like hours, though it was only minutes. Outside, the cityscape gave way to rolling fields, golden under the afternoon sun. The rhythm of the wheels on the tracks was steady, mocking. Nathan finally broke the silence. I heard about your mom. I'm sorry. My chest tightened. The wound was still fresh. My mother's illness. The long nights in the hospital. Her final smile before she left. I hated that he knew. Hated that part of me wanted his comfort. You don't get to say that, I said coldly, turning my face to the window. You lost the right to care. His silence stung more than words. But as the train rolled deeper into America's endless horizon, I realized something horrifying. 3 weeks is a long time. Too long to keep silent. Too long to outrun the ghosts. Too long to pretend he wasn't still buried under my skin. That night, when the train quieted and most passengers slept, I sat up in the narrow bunk, the dim light casting shadows across Nathan's face as he lay below. He wasn't asleep either. I could tell by the way his body was tense, his chest rising unevenly. Why did you leave? The question slipped out before I could stop it, trembling with all the hurt I'd swallowed for years. Nathan froze, then slowly sat up. His eyes met mine, heavy with regret. Ethan, I thought I was protecting you. Protecting me. I laughed bitterly. By vanishing without a word. By ripping me apart with silence. He looked down at his hands, shame etching into his features. You deserved someone whole. Someone who wouldn't drag you into my mess. My family, my dad, you know what it was like. He caught us that night and his voice broke. I thought if I left, he wouldn't come after you. The memory hit me like a freight train. That night, his father's voice, booming with rage, the threat in his eyes, the way Nathan had held me tight, whispering he wouldn't let anything happen to me. And then, he was gone. Just gone. Tears burned at the edges of my vision. A mixture of fury and aching relief that the truth was finally spilling out. "You idiot," I whispered. "You think leaving me hurt less than facing it together?" Nathan's eyes glistened in the dim light. He reached out, hesitated, then let his hand fall. "I never stopped loving you. Not for a single day." The train rocked gently, carrying us through the night, carrying us into a storm of old wounds and unspoken love. For the first time in years, I let myself feel the pain, the longing, the reckless hope. And for the first time, I didn't know whether I wanted to run or to stay. Nathan's words lingered in the air like smoke. Impossible to ignore. Impossible to breathe through. I never stopped loving you. For the next days, the train carried us across states and landscapes. But inside that cabin it felt like we were standing still, trapped in an orbit we couldn't escape. We argued. God. We argued about the past. About choices. About how two boys who once promised forever ended up as strangers avoiding eye contact. But somewhere between the shouting and the silences, something cracked. Something softened. It happened in Denver. We got off the train for a layover, the Rockies rising like sentinels around us. I tried to walk ahead, but Nathan caught my wrist. For a second, I almost pulled away. But then I saw Ethan's fear, raw and desperate, like he knew if he let go this time, it would be forever. "Ethan," he said, voice low, breaking, "tell me you feel nothing. Look me in the eye and tell me that, and I'll never bother you again." I opened my mouth to lie, to finally sever the thread. But my voice betrayed me. "I can't," I whispered. And suddenly his arms were around me, holding me the way he used to, like the world could collapse but he wouldn't let me fall. For the first time in years, I didn't fight it. I let myself sink into him, into the familiarity of his heartbeat against my ear, into the dangerous comfort of belonging. But love doesn't erase pain overnight. The train pushed forward, and so did our ghosts. There were nights when I pulled away, bitter memories gnawing at me, reminding me of abandonment, of silence, of all the ways he had failed me. There were mornings when Nathan woke with tears on his lashes, guilt heavy in his bones. We were trying to rebuild something fragile on shaky ground. One night, somewhere in Arizona, we stood on the rear platform, the desert wind sharp against our skin. Stars scattered endlessly overhead, the kind of sky that makes you feel both infinite and small. Nathan leaned against the railing, his eyes glistening in starlight. "You deserved a love that wasn't afraid," he said. And I wasn't that boy. I let fear dictate everything. But I'm not that boy anymore. Ethan, if you give me one more chance, I'll spend the rest of my life proving it. My throat closed. I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to. But the ache of betrayal still lingered. "What if you leave again?" I asked, voice barely a whisper. He stepped closer. So close the warmth of him bled into me. "Then I'll chase you to the ends of the earth. You can erase me from your life 1,000 times. But I'll keep coming back. Because you're it for me. You always have been." And in that moment, under the endless desert sky, I kissed him. Not cautiously, not bitterly, but with everything I'd been holding back for years. His hands cupped my face, mine fisted in his shirt, and the train roared on like it was carrying us toward a future we never thought we'd have. The final week blurred into something different. Softer. Mornings filled with quiet laughter over coffee in the dining car. Afternoons spent pressed shoulder to shoulder watching the country rush by. Nights tangled in hesitant touches that grew bolder with each passing mile. Healing wasn't instant, but it was happening in the little ways. In the shared silences. In the slow rebuilding of trust. When the train finally pulled into Los Angeles. The end of the line. My chest tightened with dread. This was where choices had to be made. Standing on the platform. The California sun painting everything gold. Nathan turned to me. No dramatics. No grand gestures, just him. Raw and real. I searching mine. I know I don't deserve it. He said softly. But I want a future with you. Not just 3 weeks on a train. A lifetime. If you'll have me. I studied him. Every scar. Every flaw. Every memory of pain and love entwined. And for once, the weight didn't feel unbearable. It felt human. Felt alive. I smiled. Small but certain. Then don't ever run again. Stay. Fight with me. Fight for me. His answer was immediate. His lips on mine. Sealing the promise in a kiss that tasted like forgiveness. Like new beginnings. The train had carried us across America. But more than that, it had carried us back to each other. Broken. Scarred. But ready. And as we walked hand in hand into the blinding California light, I realized something simple and terrifying and beautiful. Sometimes love isn't about erasing the past. It's about writing a future that makes surviving it worthwhile. And with Nathan by my side, I was ready to begin. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.